What's going on, everyone? This is the iFlight Alpha A75 HD version. And this little Whoop has a Caddx Vista. Actually, it's a Caddx Nebula on board. So that means if I've got my DJI goggles, I can get some crystal clear HD whooping out of this little thing. Stay tuned, I'll tell you all about it. So this guy is from iFlight, which means it's gonna be pretty good. You've got some Zing E1103 8000 kV brushless motors, and you're pushing Gemfan Tri-Blade 1635 props. Now it's just over 75, actually it's 78 millimeters from motor post to motor post, so it's a little bit larger. We've got an XT30 connector here on the bottom, and I recommend you use 3S 450 batteries. You can fly 2 or 3S on this thing. Now it's an F4 flight controller with a 20 amp all-in-one ESC. It's similar to this Thinking P16 that I flew before. It has a different sort of design, right, where it's kind of a stacked, whereas this is kind of smushed and the camera's forward. I don't know, to each their own. You kind of choose which one you prefer. This frame is much stiffer than the Beta 75X, right? So if you remember that, again, HD Whoop, that thing was, that frame was basically made out of paper mache. This thing I've crashed it a bunch. You can see there's some grass on the propeller guards here. It's definitely held up a little bit better, that's for sure. Now it's about 67 grams. Now I chose the DJI version. I'm flying this with my DJI remote that I got right here. And I like that because I don't have to add a receiver, and you get pretty good range with that as well. Now it's not going to perform like a smaller, lighter Whoop, something like this. This is the Moblite 7. I've modified mine quite a bit. Actually, they even have the same props, but something like this is going to be more maneuverable. But this guy, you're going to get that crystal clear HD video. It's fun to fly. You can fly this thing indoors or outdoors. The first day I took it outside, it was super windy and it was just getting tossed around. I mean, it was really windy. And I took it out again today on a light wind day and actually performed really pretty darn well. Now, the one thing that I did notice, the rates on this in acro out of the box were crazy, like crazy fast. Like it was spinning like death roll spins because their rates were just way too high. So I'll go ahead and tune them down. I'll show you what I did right here. So if you want to take a look and copy mine, it just kind of created a more flyable experience. So we're going to take a look at some flight footage here. I'll be flying acro for this. So you can kind of see, I flew this in acro. I flew it in angle. I flew it inside. I flew it outside. I actually kind of prefer flying tiny whoops like this in angle mode. But outside, it does okay in acro, right? You can do flips and rolls and a few tricks. You're going to get some prop wash coming out of split S's and stuff like that. But, on a 3S 450 battery, which I think is probably the sweet spot, it does perform pretty well. Decent flight. Now, this Caddx Nebula camera isn't the best of the HD options. In fact, it's probably the worst, but it is the lightest, so that's what you want when you're flying, tiny whoops. Even HD ones, you want, lightweight. You sacrifice a little bit of quality, but you get a little bit better performance when you keep the drone a little bit lighter. So yeah, you rip this thing around the house, rip this thing around outside, and it isn't too light that you can't fly in light wind, although on a heavy day, heavy wind day, you're not going to get super great performance. It will get pushed around a little bit, but it is a fun little flyer. But overall, this is a fun little HD quad. It's not cheap. It's going to be $250. And of course, you're going to have the DJI digital goggles in order to fly it. Now you can fly it on either the V1 or the V2 goggles, but if you want the DJI remote, you're going to have to use the V1 remote. You could, of course, get an XM or some other receiver with this and fly with a Radiomaster or an FR Sky remote or whatever your preference is. But again, I like to keep the weight just a little bit lower, fly it with the DJI system because I've already got one. Anyway, this thing is fun to fly. You can fly it inside, you can fly it outside. Again, I suggest going with a 3S battery, but if you want something a little bit tamer, go ahead and fly it on a 2S battery. It is fun to see digital FPV making its way into something this small. I really do kind of prefer the smaller drones, and it's nice to see that I have a few Whoop options now that I can choose from. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If it was, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, we give away a drone at least once a month to one of our Patreon subscribers. If you want information on getting a free drone from us, check out the links in the video description down below. And don't forget, we've got more about this drone and others on our website, halfchrome.com. Hey, thanks for watching. Good luck and happy flying.